Hey guys, so today's video is on the Heelside 180-degree stand-up slide. It's a foundation for all the other Heelside stand-up slides you're going to learn, so it's a key skill to have. So if you want to learn how to do it, check out this video. First things first, what is a Heelside stand-up 180? So also known as a frontside slide, it's basically with your back facing up the hill. The Heelside 180 is simply throwing a slide and ending up in switch. So what should you know before trying this slide? Before trying this slide, you should know how to carve and how to slow down. Now by slowing down, you can do it by either foot braking or doing a push-up, Coleman, or a toe-side pendulum slide. You should also know how to do a setup carve or a pre-carve. Setup carving will be key to getting the board to break traction in a smooth and controlled way, and with stand-up slides, it's especially effective, so you should learn it. Finally, I highly recommend checking out my downhill skill tree guide. It has all the other guides that I've done so far linked, and I build off the progress and experience you get from going through the other guides, so I encourage you to check them out as well. So what gear should you have before attempting this slide? So at minimum, you should have a helmet and slide gloves. I highly recommend getting knee, elbow and hip pads, as you're going to be falling on your bum quite a bit. It's gonna happen. Finally, I also recommend you have wheels that are going to be great for free riding and sliding. They will make your sliding attempts a lot easier and a lot more successful. And you should have some of these things if you have already watched my beginners downhill skateboarding guide, which I will link for you guys, I think here or here, I'm not sure, or somewhere. So there are actually two ways to learn how to stand up 180. The first, which is the easier one, is basically you throwing your shoulders out and the board kind of follows and you end up in the 180-degree position. Of course, it's not that simple. There are one or two things you're going to have to figure out. The second one is more subtle. You use less of your shoulders and you use more of a combination of moving your shoulders and your feet to get the 180-degree slide done. The first is easier. However, when you want to progress to learning speed checks, it means you're going to have to unlearn some things. The second is harder, yes, but it's going to be easier to progress to learning speed checks as the motions are going to be quite similar. I'm going to be focusing on the second one, but I will be mentioning the first briefly in the guide as well. And with the things that I'm teaching with the second one, the first is going to be very easy to pull off. So yeah, you'll have transferable skills essentially. Okay, so step 0.1, foot positioning. Now I've linked a guide, my things to do before you slide your longboard guide, and I talk about foot positioning in depth there. Check that out for more information on that. So step 0.2, weight distribution. I also talk about this in depth in my things to do before you slide your longboard guide, but you're typically going to want to have 60% of your weight on your front foot and about 40% on your back leg. Finally, most of your weight is also going to be on your heels, and yeah, in the zones marked red in the next image. Step 1, you're going to want to have enough speed. You're going to need to be going faster than jogging pace. You can learn this on a mellow hill, but make sure you can push in fast enough. A quick tip, the steeper the hill, the easier it's going to be to make the board break traction and slide. Because the hill is steep, you're naturally going to be leaning more off your board. So yeah. Step 2, so now you're going to start doing the setup carve. The setup carve will make your life a lot easier. It's really important you do it. It naturally brings your wheels to that edge of traction where you just need a nudge to get them to slide. For more about how to set up carve, check out my in-depth guide. Okay, now step 3. At this point of the setup carve, you're going to now compress in anticipation of kicking out the board. Now there are 3 things that you're going to be doing, which is compression, decompression, and then recompression. I'll talk more about this later, but I'm just going to be mentioning them throughout this guide. But yeah, compression is basically just bending your knees and sinking into your board a little bit. And yeah, you compress in anticipation for the kick out, as I've said. Okay, so it's the next day. There's some stuff I was going to explain that I'm not happy with. So here we go. Step 4, now you're going to decompress and kick out. When you get to the zenith of the setup carve, you want to decompress, lean back, swing out your body lightly and kick out the board. Kind of do all of these things at the same time, and I explain more about each step in the following bits. Okay, so how to decompress? Decompress is sort of coming out of the bent position and unwinding and extending yourself upwards. You can also lightly swing your arms up to help with it. Now, decompressing allows you to kind of de-weight slash unweight the wheels and the board, and this makes the wheels and the board really easy to kick out. And yeah. The next thing you're going to be doing is rotating your whole body slash swinging it out. So you rotate by swinging your widespread arms, your shoulders, your chest, your hips lightly into the other direction. So you want to swing them out as you're coming out of the compression, as you're doing the decompression, and you're going to do this just before you kick out the board. So instead of purely swinging your shoulders out as you do with a lot of other slides, you're going to be opening up and rotating your whole body. This, in combination with the kick out, which is the next thing you're going to do, should land you into the 180-degree position. Okay, so the next thing you're going to want to do is lean back. Now, leaning back is something you're going to have to do, and it allows you to sort of fight how much the wheels are fighting back and really give you like leverage over the board and sort of like allow it to keep sliding. Now, how much you lean back is going to depend on your setup, like the trucks you have, your bushings, your concave, your board, your wheels, all that good stuff. So it's going to vary from person and from setup to setup. But yeah, now I'm going to show you guys an image of me leaning back, and I don't necessarily suggest you lean back this much, but you can try it and see if it works for you, but you're really going to have to figure it out for yourself. Also, you're going to want to lean off like the middle of your board, or rather the point that's between both of your feet. Maybe you can lean off your front foot a little bit more, but yeah, you don't want to lean off your back foot too much, as that's gonna like put you at the back and it's gonna make the rotation weird, or off your front foot too much, as then the rotation is gonna be weird. Being sort of in the middle and leaning back off that is the best practice I've found. Finally, the last thing that brings step 4 all together is the kick out. Now, the kick out is more of a push. It's not an aggressive push, but one that is firm. And yeah, in the chain of all things happening, it's the one thing that happens last. So as I said above, you're gonna have 60% of your weight on your front foot and then about 40% on your back foot. You push out with your back foot whilst keeping your front foot stiff and firm. You can also sort of imagine that you're trying to push your weight down into your front foot, and that can help as well. You can apply pressure that way. You essentially want to push the board into the 180-degree direction, almost like you're going to be pivoting on your front foot. Finally, with your back foot, you also want to push outwards but also down at the same time. This will keep your back foot planted and from slipping off the board. Okay, some quick tips. Remember, you're going to want to have your weight on your heels. Also, don't fully unbend and extend yourself when you come out of the compression. You kind of want to keep your knees bent a little bit, kind of like almost like you're sitting in the air. Slightly, you'll see like in the images that I've shared already, and yeah, it'll help with keeping the slide going and just keeping you balanced. Next thing, take videos of yourself so that you can see what you're doing. Sometimes, or what we think we're doing is not reflective of reality. Videos help us see the mistakes and the good things we're doing. Next thing, make sure you're set up carving, it helps quite a bit. And finally, make sure you stay on top of the board and not let it get away from you. Sometimes the board can keep going and leave you behind, so it's important that you just kind of stay on top of it and move with it. Okay, so step 5, if you're doing everything correctly in step 4, just hang in there, allow your foot to keep pushing, and you should naturally push into 180 degrees and your board will naturally glide into that 180-degree angle. So yeah, just allow your body to follow, and yeah, you should basically do the 180-degree slide. When you finally rotate 180-degree slides, your board is naturally going to hook up. What you're going to do is you're going to allow this to happen and just follow the board along. What you now need to do is compress on hookup, which is basically bending your knees and allowing your body to sort of absorb the momentum and harshness of the rotation. Compression is key and is going to allow for a very clean hookup. So yeah, compress. Okay, step 7, you should now be rolling away in switch. And yeah, the steps to swing it back are pretty much the same. I like to cheat and I like to use the easy shoulder method, which is just kind of like swing like this and then the board comes back, as I've told you guys so many times. But yeah, that's basically how to stand up 180. Now, this is one of the most important things you can do for a stand-up slide. So the compression before kickout, the decompression at kickout, and the compression on hookup allow for very clean and consistent stand-up slides. If you observe riders who are like super good, like Cole Trotter, Lars Troutman, Patrick Lombardi, and even Josh Newman, they consistently do this. This method of doing stand-up slides, or rather this thing that you do, allows for very clean and consistent stand-up slides at any speed. Trust me on this. This is something all the top riders do, and if you do it as a rider, you're gonna have very clean stand-ups, and yeah, it's gonna be pretty good. Okay, so that's pretty much the end of the guide. Let me know if it has been useful. As always, this guide has been difficult for me to make, so your feedback is really appreciated. Let me know if you've tried it, what you've learned, if my guide has been helpful, and all that good stuff. As always, big thanks to all my patrons. You guys and your support has allowed this channel to go places I never would have imagined. As well, I bought a microphone, this thing, so thank you to the patrons for that. Audio is now like super crystal clear. And yeah, the Heelside 180 guide should come out shortly as well. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this one. Thanks for watching.